It was one of those golden afternoons when the world outside seemed perfect, sunlight spilling through glass doors, violins playing softly in the background, and polished shoes clicking against marble floors. Inside the Grand Aurelia Hotel, everything glowed with quiet luxury. Guests spoke in hushed tones, sipping wine that cost more than most people's rent. But among all that shine and laughter, there stood a nervous young waitress, clutching her notepad like it was her only anchor. Her name was Nora Velen, 23, shy, and new to this world of wealth and whispers. She had been working here for just 2 weeks, moving quietly through the elegant dining hall like a shadow no one noticed. To most guests, she was invisible, another face in a white apron. But that afternoon, one small act would pull her out of that silence and into the hearts of millions. Because sometimes, it takes only one kind gesture to change everything. Nora wasn't always this quiet, but life had trained her to be. Her father had walked out when she was 12, and her mother worked double shifts just to keep food on the table. In a home filled with exhaustion, silence became safety. Her younger brother, Eli, had been born deaf. He was her best friend, her heart. To talk to him, Nora had taught herself sign language, slowly, patiently, until her hands could speak faster than her lips. Every evening, they'd sit on the porch, signing stories to each other until their laughter filled the dark. But 2 years ago, Eli's laughter went silent forever. A long illness had taken him away, leaving Nora with only memories, and the habit of talking with her hands. She never realized that this silent gift would one day open a door she didn't even know existed. That day, Nora was assigned to Table 9, a private section reserved for none other than Adrian Cole, a billionaire known for his ruthless business mind and cold demeanor. He was dining with his mother, Margaret Cole, an elegant woman in her 70s, dressed in soft pearls and quiet grace. Every waiter feared that table. Adrian Cole didn't like mistakes, delays, or excuses. Nora felt her stomach twist as she approached with trembling hands. She had practiced her lines a dozen times in her head. "Good afternoon. Would you like still or sparkling water?" But before she could even open her mouth, she noticed something. Margaret Cole wasn't responding to Adrian's words right away. She leaned forward slightly, her eyes focusing on his lips. Then Nora saw it, a tiny silver hearing aid behind her ear. In that moment, something familiar tugged at Nora's heart. The soft tilt of Margaret's head, the way Adrian spoke slowly. She had seen it all before. It was the same quiet rhythm she had shared with Eli. And for a second, the noise of the hotel faded. Adrian looked up impatiently, expecting Nora to start speaking. But instead, she did something that made time itself pause. She took a small, steady breath and began to sign. Her fingers moved gracefully through the air. "Would you like still or sparkling water?" For a heartbeat, no one moved. Margaret Cole froze, eyes wide, lips trembling, as if she couldn't believe what she was seeing. Then, tears filled her eyes. Slowly, she signed back, "You know sign language?" Nora nodded, smiling shyly. Adrian looked between them, stunned. He had taken his mother to the finest restaurants around the world, but never, not once, had anyone ever spoken to her in her own language. For years, Margaret had been treated with polite smiles and hurried nods, left out of conversations that moved too fast for her world. But now, here was this timid young waitress signing, as if she had been waiting her whole life for this moment. And Margaret, oh, how she lit up. She began to laugh softly, her hands fluttering with excitement. The cold billionaire just sat there, speechless, watching his mother come alive. As lunch went on, Nora didn't just serve food, she connected. She signed every question, described each dish, even joked gently in sign language, making Margaret laugh until tears ran down her cheeks. Other diners turned to watch in quiet wonder. Some smiled, some teared up. Adrian didn't care about the attention. For once, his mind wasn't on business deals or profit margins. He was watching his mother, seeing a light in her eyes he hadn't seen in years. For Nora, it wasn't just a job. Every movement of her hands brought back flashes of Eli, the way he used to giggle when she signed something funny, the way his small hands would mimic hers. She could almost feel him there, smiling somewhere between the spaces of her fingers. It felt as if, through this kind old woman, she was speaking to her brother one last time. When the meal ended, Margaret reached across the table and took Nora's hands. Tears shimmered in her eyes as she signed slowly. "You made me feel seen today. You reminded me that I still belong in this noisy world." Nora's lips quivered as she signed back. "You reminded me that love never really disappears." The two women sat there for a long moment, silent but deeply connected. A bond formed not by words, but by something purer. Adrian, known for his emotionless poise, quietly wiped a tear from his eye. After his mother left, Adrian asked Nora to step aside. She braced herself, thinking she was about to be scolded for overstepping. But instead, his voice softened. He told her that his mother had spent years feeling isolated, that even he, her son, sometimes struggled to bridge that silence. And yet, Nora had done in minutes what no one else could. She made his mother feel human again. Then he asked about her story. When Nora told him about Eli, about learning sign language for her deaf brother who had passed away, Adrian just nodded slowly. There was a pause, the kind that holds more emotion than any speech could. A week later, Nora got a letter from the hotel management. Adrian had quietly arranged for every Aurelia hotel employee to receive free sign language training, in memory of Eli. He also offered Nora a full scholarship to study special education, saying, "The world needs more people who can bridge silence with compassion." Nora could hardly believe it. She had never asked for anything, yet kindness had found her anyway. What happened that afternoon didn't stay within the golden walls of Aurelia Hotel. One of the guests had filmed the interaction and shared it online. Within days, the story spread across the world. Millions watched as a shy waitress communicated with a billionaire's mother using only her hands and her heart. People called it the moment kindness spoke. But Nora didn't care about the fame. What mattered was that her brother's memory had sparked something good, something that would help countless others be seen and heard. Every week, Margaret returned to the Aurelia Hotel, always asking for Nora. They would sit for a few minutes after service, signing little stories, laughing softly like old friends. For Nora, those afternoons became sacred. They reminded her that love never truly leaves. It only changes form. Sometimes it returns through strangers, sometimes through gestures. One evening, as the sun painted gold across the city skyline, Nora stood by the window, smiling. She looked up at the sky and whispered a silent thank you. To Eli, to life, to the quiet miracles that keep us going. Because in a world that often values noise, she had discovered something deeper, that the loudest kind of love is often spoken in silence. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to TalesbyNanya, where we believe that compassion still has the power to change the world, one silent gesture at a time. Would you have done what Nora did if you were in her place? Tell us in the comments. Your story might inspire the next act of kindness.